Troops on internal security kill 82 terrorists, arrest 198 criminals within a week. Ogun State Police Command falls attempt to kidnap travelers along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. UN Security Council calls on Rwanda Defense Forces to stop supporting the M23 rebels in the DR Congo. Stay with us. I'll be right back for more details of these stories and more.
And beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV. For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV.
Good morning and thank you for staying with us on Third Eye Africa TV. We are broadcasting from the Central Business District, Abuja. My name is Bivan Magoni with the news. At the weekend, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcos Kange, said the troops also rescued 93 kidnapped victims in 1 week and recovered 86 high-caliber weapons and over 2,000 weapons across the theaters of operation in the country. According to him, 41 terrorists, comprising 10 males, 12 females, and 19 children surrendered to troops of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast of the country. In the Niger Delta region, Major General Kanye said troops seized crude oil and other products worth over 500 million naira. While giving details on weapons seized, the defense spokesman said troops recovered 46 AK-47 rifles, 18 locally fabricated guns, 19 den guns, and 3 pump-action guns. To Ogun State, the state command of the Niger Police Force at the weekend said its operatives foiled an attempt to kidnap some travelers around the Wario axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and neutralized 4 of the kidnappers during the ensuing gun duel. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Omolola Oditola, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. The bandits were said to have ambushed a wide Paragon commercial vehicle driven by one Master Morufo Adediji and heading towards Lagos. The armed men reportedly forcefully halted the vehicle, pointed a gun at the driver, and began robbing passengers at gunpoint. He said other motorists raised an alarm, which was swiftly intercepted by the anti-kidnapping team on patrol. Master Adediji added that upon arrival, the police operatives engaged the fleeing bandits in a gun duel, and 4 of the armed men were fatally injured, while others escaped with gunshot wounds. Also, operatives of the Special Assignment Team of the Delta State Police Command have busted a criminal hideout of some suspected kidnappers who have been terrorizing residents of the Abraka and Mutu axis of the state. This was contained in a statement signed by the command's public relations officer, Bright Edafe, in Warri. The statement noted that the feat followed an intelligence-led investigation carried out on the arrest of some suspected kidnappers on January 30, 2025. Masa Edafe said that the suspect was in custody while a manhunt to arrest other members of his gang is ongoing. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a 24-year-old Thai national, Ms. Patafi Winonat, while attempting to smuggle 43 parcels of Canadian Loud, a synthetic strain of cannabis weighing 46.60 kilograms, into Nigeria. The agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, disclosed this in a statement released on Sunday. He said a suspect, who confessed to being a hired drug trafficker, was arrested on Thursday, February 2025, during the inward clearance of passengers on a Qatar Airways flight from Thailand via Doha, Qatar, at the arrival hall of Terminal 2 at Lagos Airport. Mr. Babafemi quoted the suspect as saying that the drug cartel that rescued her promised to pay her, that recruited her rather, promised to pay her $3,000 upon successful delivery of the illicit consignment in Nigeria. The British High Commission has reiterated its commitment to fostering peace and unity in Taraba State, northeastern Nigeria, through ongoing support for peace-building initiatives. During a training session in Jalingo, the state capital, for community leaders from Wukari Takum and Usa local government councils, The Commission's Human Rights Officer, David Snelling, stressed the importance of sustainable peace and religious tolerance. The training part of the project, Zaman Lafia, Taraba, is being implemented by the Gideon and Fumi Paramalam Peace Foundation with support from the British High Commission. Shailin commended the community leaders for their commitment to peace advocacy and assured them of continued support from the Commission. Also, Reverend Gideon Paramalam called the Nigerian authorities to allocate dedicated funding for peace-building efforts instead of relying on foreign aid. Project Zaman Lafia Taraba, launched in September 2024, is expected to run until the end of February 2025. The United Nations Security Council has called on the Rwandan Defense Forces to stop supporting the M23 rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo and immediately withdraw from Congolese territory without preconditions. The council demanded that the M23 immediately cease intelligence hostilities, withdraw from all areas that it controls, and fully reverse the establishment of illegitimate parallel administrations in the DRC territory. It reiterated its urgent appeal for all parties to conclude an immediate and unconditional ceasefire as called for by leaders from East and Southern Africa. The Council strongly urged the DRC and Rwanda to return without a precondition to diplomatic talks as a matter of urgency to achieve a lasting and peaceful resolution of the protracted conflict in the region. The resolution was unanimously adopted by the 15-member Council last Friday. Thank you for staying with us right here on Third Eye Africa TV. We're going to break and be right back for the newspaper review and, of course, press review right here. Do stay with us.
For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV. For deep...
Thank you for staying with us on Third Eye Africa TV once again. And this is we'll take a look at some of the trending stories from our national dailies. I will take a look at first our Daily Trust. Daily Trust, we have Minister threatens to leave APC over Kano chairmanship. We have over 600 billion naira worth of petrol in store. That's according to Dangote. You can find that on page 24 of the Daily Trust. And then moving to page 7, Nigeria records 80 deaths from Lassa fever in 1 week. How FG spent $8 billion to support Naira Rewani. The story has really been trending, and a lot of reactions have been coming from different quarters. And then Nigerians yet to feel impact of rebasing inflation. It is not true. Presidency, CBN, Mom. While we talk with Buhari, IBB, that is one of the top stories we've had within the last couple of days, and let's see what our analysts are going to say about this, because it's really an important story there. And then how cleric hypnotized killed student in Kwara State. You can find it on page 21. North needs to align with South to rescue Nigeria. That's according to Erufai. You can find that on page 12. After inauguration, Adeleke asks LG chairs to stay away from offices. And then looking at the sports aspect of it, Liverpool beat Man City to extend lead to 11 points. That Van Persie returns to Feyenoord as coach. Then we move to leadership newspaper. FG spends $8 billion to stabilize Naira on page 21, just like we had from the Daily Trust newspaper. We're ready for 2025 Hajj operations. NACO. You can find that story on page 6. And then moving. 80 persons die of Lassa fever in 11 states. Corruption in judiciary. Lawyers blame Nigerian systems seek urgent reforms. You can find out on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. 7 dead, 6 injured in a Edo communal clash. On page 7, Telkom blackout looms as fuel tanker drivers down tools. On page 22, and then Serap Tax Court to hold ATM fee increase on page 6. To page 7, Nigeria's tax system holding country backward. That's according to Oyedele. Moving to the Blueprint, a newspaper group targets 3 million naira donation to feed 100 vulnerable Muslims. Page 3. That's on Ramadan there. And the intention in Oshun as the fire delegate swears in local government chairs and councillors, tells them to stay off secretariat, release allocations to only reinstated chairman. APC urges federal government beware of wild west. Markande warns. You can find our story on page 8. Aida Tiwa Dums Agedolu's redeemed agenda opt for our ease. Is one of the top stories here. You can find out on page 8 of the Blueprint newspaper. Nigeria saves $20 million daily from fuel subsidy removal. That's according to Yedele. Says current taxes are not conducive. FG China signs 7.6 billion euros clean energy deal. You can find that story on page 8. And then 22-year-old Nigerian Oduwole nominated for Nobel Peace Prize on page 11. That's a very interesting story there. And CDC reports 80 deaths from Lassa fever in 11 states on page 3. We're moving to page 22. Elomelu advocates higher oil production to drive economic growth. 3 suspects nabbed attempting to buy 6-month-old fetus for 30 million naira in Minna, Niger State. And finally, to the nation's newspaper, Council Paul Adeleke breached oath of office, says APC. You can find our story on page 5. Don't scrap NDDC. Ichekiri leaders urge Tinubu on page 6. Northeast not left out in legacy projects, says Umahi. Banks target 2 trillion fresh capital in Q2. You can find that story on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And then we have, I think, an opinion here by Sam Omache. Of course, if you want to take a look at it, you can go to the back page of the Nation's newspaper. And just give us a couple of seconds. We'll be right back with our in-house guest and analyst to look at these top stories that we have here. Be right back. To stay with us.
For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch the...
Joining us this morning, we have the security expert and, of course, public affairs analyst and commentator. And he's also a journalist, a veteran, we call him. And the second person is also the same thing. So they are better halves of a coin, and we know how we do it here with them. It's been a while we had them here on the show together. Once again, let's welcome Mr. Ben and, of course, Mr. Udo. Good morning and welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've listened to these stories, and I would like to hear your takes on any of these stories here. And of course, you can pick any of the stories to react to them.
Yeah, I want to go political
Okay.
because when you have a stable polity, it appears very many things can fit in. I can now see El-Rufai saying that the North will need to align with South to salvage Nigeria. And truly, El-Rufai for now appears to have taken the shape of an amoeba. An amoeba does not have a shape. Anything you draw, that represents amoeba. So politically, it's like on a journey without a destination. He's been with APC, he's been with PDP, now he's hobnobbing with Abubakar, Atiku Abubakar. At the point they jointly went and condoled the family of E.K. Clark, that Niger Delta Edwin Clark. Yes, you know. Now, look at his antecedent in Kaduna. At the point you had northern Kaduna, southern Kaduna. The southern part was virtually neglected by the same El-Rufai. He never saw anything good in trying to bring out a single kind of Kaduna state. There was this segregation on his part, no development, nothing. Only for you to now say, to salvage Nigeria, you need Niger Delta versus northern part of Nigeria. we are looking for politicians who will look at Nigeria holistically, not that you go into regions. So, in other words, are you saying you no longer trust the Southwest? You no longer trust the Southeast? So, the Southeast and Southwest should join an alliance, while South-South should join an alliance with North. And therefore, it's still going to be we versus them. I think it's wrong footing as far as I'm concerned for El-Rufai.
Well, well, looking at it, I think it's just his own opinion. He just feels like the North and the South need to align. I don't even know the difference between what the alignment is and what has been in place in the first place. Because we're looking at it at the moment, the president is from the South and vice president is from the North. So what exactly is he driving at? Okay, let's hear from you. Which of the stories you want to pick on this morning?
Well, let me also look at politics. But this time I want to go to Osun State,
Okay.
where local government elections were conducted last weekend. And before the conduct of this local government election, there was a drama. There was an incident in the state in which a number of people were killed based on the judgments of the Court of Appeal. If you cast your mind back, you recall that the High Court had sacked the former local government, elected local government officials, the chairman and the councillors. But they went to court, went on appeal, and from the interpretation of the judgment of the appeal court, the All Progressive Congress, that is in minority in Osun State at this time, said the court had now given them the mandate to go back. That is, those who were sacked by the High Court, the mandate to go back to their position. And in the process of wanting to take over, a number of people were killed. But the state government, the government is under the People's Democratic Party, decided that it's going ahead with the local government election to elect new officials to take over from the ones. You know, these days, governments at the state level, at federal government level, interpret court judgment based on what they feel is beneficial to them. While the Osun State government, that is under PDP, believe that the judgment of the appeal court did not ask those former local government officials to come back to office. The APC, the All Progressive Congress, said no, that they are supposed to be in office, and indeed mandated those people to go back. That was what brought about the crisis that we witnessed last week. But the state government insisted that it's going to go ahead with the local government. You recall that the Attorney General of the Federation said his advice was that the state government should not go ahead with the election. And of course, the police aligned with that. And of course, you discover that these are institutions that are controlled by the federal government, that is under or that is controlled by the All Progressive Congress at the center. So the police seem to align with the APC in this matter. The Attorney General advised aligned with the APC, but the state government insisted that it was going to go ahead, and it went ahead with the conduct of the local government election and swiftly sworn in, because, of course, you know that when local government elections are conducted in Nigeria, the party in power at the state level swept the polls. And that was exactly what happened.
That wasn't the case in the first place, not until recently it became this bad. Because I remember in previous dispensations, I think it was a little bit fair, unlike what we have now. What do you think, Mr. Ben?
Yeah, it was, but today it's always that of I must win and win thoroughly. In other words, whether you have elections or you don't have elections, as far as they're concerned, they must, in fact, win. And winning does not necessarily mean that there were even elections. Now you're having what you call the State Independent Electoral Commission, that is under the governor. Then the ballot papers are printed by the government, and The government appoints all the umpires, and of course the umpires are employees that cannot go beyond the wishes of the governor. And so when the governor says, I want all, award these marks or these votes, and of course he does. So I think that is not too good for democracy. I was in a forum where then President Muhammadu Buhari said it wasn't good democracy, whereby when it comes to the local government elections, the party where the governor belongs must produce all the chairmen, produce all the councillors. It doesn't augur well for democracy. Let there be a free contest. We've spoken about El Rufai here. He tried that in Kaduna State, and he saw that, yeah, opposition was giving him a run for his money. Yeah, but
well, that's the difference between, in as much as it is like that, that's the difference between El Rufai and the current government. Because if you look at it, the current governor of the state, completely, like I said, I was there, I witnessed the election. Election never took place, and people were called, chairmen and councillors. How can one party win the over 225 local councillorship positions, and the 23 local governments all won by the APC? I think that's where we get to give El Rufai some credit.
Sure.
And look at the current governor and say, no, he did us wrong. He did a lot of young politicians dirty.
Yes.
Because that was supposed to be the start
yes.
of their political career.
If I can just inject this. Right from when the plans were on, one could see the signals that things would go a bit awry. What were they? You could see that, like PDP, people were busy contesting, they bought forms, they were campaigning, and all that stuff, from word to word. Then you look at NNPP, you look at Labour, they all were doing same, and they had aspirants, then had candidates. But when it came to APC, they left the party and everybody in suspense. Till end, they just produced 23 forms and just handpicked. Gave this man, gave that one, gave that one. In other words, they were not candidates. Suddenly they became, they were not aspirants. Suddenly they became candidates. And suddenly they must win. And that was what was returned. It doesn't augur well for democracy at all.
I really agree with you on that. But I would very much like to hear your take on the launch of the IBB's book and what you think about it. There are lots of revelations coming in from the launch of that masterpiece, or what do I call it? Is it really a masterpiece? An autobiography can an autobiography of that nature be a masterpiece? Let's start with you, Mr. Udo.
Well, I think all that were unveiled in the book are things that were already a public domain. It's only that we now got to hear IBB said it. That is former President Ibrahim Babangida said it in his own way. This is what happened under my watch. This is how I saw it. But as you can see, Nigerians are having divergent views on what he said. For instance, about the annulment of June 12 election. June 12, what year?
1993.
1993. He now said when the press secretary to his second in command issued the statement that the election should be annulled, he was not even away. Nobody believes that. He said he was somewhere in Sokoto. Nobody believes that he wasn't the one that gave the order. You can't do that under a military regime that the commander-in-chief was not away. So he lied, I would say. I don't know what.
Let's get to hear from you, Mr. Ben.
Yeah, you see, again, Abacha is not around to defend himself. He said the annulment was the handiwork of Abacha. And being a maximum ruler, a military president, Maradona, the man who could set the goalposts, remove the goalposts, expand, narrow them and all that, score or not score. IBB was a master dribbler. You call Maradona as he used to be. But you see, there are limits as to how you begin to play with people's intelligence when you come out with some of these writings. That Abacha will come and announce, annulment of June 12th, Abacha is responsible, you know. But again, when you look at the private sector, people like Dangote and many others, they say, look, because of the openness, privatization, commercialization of the business environment, they were able to go in. Companies were sold out. Companies, take a proper shape. So some people will always be crying, while some will be laughing. Some will smile to the banks. Some will be squeezing their faces. They have nowhere to go to. You also see that she even spoke about the wife, spoke about quite a lot of many things. But I think that, well, he felt he should come out and tell Nigerians what many already knew. But one is really taken aback as to many of the things he has written, and that is biography.